There is a plant that has been growing in the ocean for over 500 million years. It predates the dinosaurs. It predates trees. It has survived every mass extinction this planet has thrown at it. And for most of human history, outside of a few coastal cultures in East Asia, the rest of the world completely ignored it. Today, that same plant is being sliced into paper-thin sheets, roasted at precision temperatures, seasoned with oils pressed in South Korea, and sold in over 50 countries as one of the fastest-growing snack categories on the planet. This is roasted seaweed. And what happens between the ocean floor and that crispy green square in your hand is one of the most precise and quietly remarkable food production stories in modern manufacturing. Stay with us, because by the end of this video, you will never look at that little green packet the same way again. Before a single sheet is cut or roasted, the story begins underwater, in what are essentially the world's most productive farms that nobody ever sees. The seaweed used in almost every commercial roasted snack is a species called Pyropia, more commonly known as nori. It is the same seaweed that wraps sushi rolls, but grown and processed on an entirely different scale. South Korea alone produces over 500,000 metric tons of seaweed annually, making it the world's largest exporter. The farms that supply the global snack industry stretch across the southern and western coastlines of the country, particularly around the waters of Wando and Sainan County, where cold ocean currents, specific water salinity levels, and seasonal temperature changes create conditions that cannot be easily replicated anywhere else on Earth. This matters because seaweed is not like corn or wheat. You cannot simply move the crop to a more convenient location. The ocean is the factory, the tides are the irrigation system, the mineral content of the water is the fertilizer, and unlike land agriculture, seaweed farming requires no fresh water, no pesticides, and no fertilizer inputs whatsoever, which is why the food industry has increasingly begun treating it not just as an ingredient, but as one of the most sustainable crops on the planet. A single hectare of seaweed farm can absorb as much carbon dioxide as a small forest. It takes roughly 45 days from seedling to harvest. And 1 kilogram of dried nori contains more iron than a similar weight of beef. These numbers are why global seaweed snack sales crossed $4 billion in 2023 and are projected to double before 2030. The farming cycle for nori begins in late summer, when ocean temperatures begin to drop below 23 degrees Celsius, the threshold at which the seaweed spores become active. At specialized hatcheries along the Korean coast, seed spores are cultivated in temperature-controlled tanks and transferred onto long nets made of synthetic rope. These seeding nets, each one stretching up to 45 meters in length, are then transported out to sea and suspended horizontally between bamboo poles or floating buoys, positioned just beneath the water's surface. What follows is a 45 to 60-day growth cycle that requires almost daily monitoring. The nets must be rotated regularly to ensure even sunlight exposure on both sides. Water temperature is tracked continuously. If the ocean gets too warm, the crop yellows and loses its protein structure. If a tide brings in sediment or algae contamination, entire sections of net can be lost within 48 hours. Experienced farmers develop an intuition for their patches of ocean that takes years to build. In Wando, there are families who have been reading these tides for 3 generations, able to judge a crop's readiness from the color and texture of the fronds before any laboratory measurement confirms it. Harvest happens between November and March, when the seaweed has reached full maturity and the water is cold enough to preserve its deep green pigmentation. Harvesting boats equipped with rotating drum collectors move along the nets at low speed, pulling the seaweed off and depositing it in large open trays on the deck. Speed is critical at this stage. Seaweed begins degrading within hours of leaving the water. Heat, air, and light all accelerate the breakdown of its chlorophyll, the compound responsible for both its color and a significant portion of its flavor. Boats move quickly back to shore, and the transition from ocean to processing facility typically happens within 2 to 4 hours of harvest. At the receiving dock, the raw seaweed is weighed and graded on the spot. First-grade nori, destined for premium snack product, must meet strict color, thickness, and moisture specifications before it is accepted. Lower grades are redirected to other food applications. This sorting decision, made at the dock, determines the entire value of a day's harvest. Inside the processing facility, the transformation from ocean plant to snack sheet begins with a problem. Raw seaweed is approximately 85 to 90% water. Before anything else can happen, that water must come out. The first stage is a high-volume washing process. The freshly harvested seaweed is fed into large rotating drum washers where it is rinsed repeatedly with cold fresh water to remove salt, sand, microscopic marine organisms, and any debris collected during harvesting. The cold water is essential here. Warm water at this stage would begin cooking the seaweed prematurely, breaking down its cell walls and destroying the delicate texture that makes the finished snack crisp rather than chewy. After washing, the seaweed moves to the forming stage, which is, without question, the most technically demanding part of the entire production process. And this is where a technology developed in Japan over 1,000 years ago still forms the mechanical backbone of modern industrial production. The process is called tsukibune, or sheet forming. A precisely measured slurry of chopped seaweed and water is spread across a flat rectangular frame, not unlike papermaking, and distributed into a perfectly uniform layer using mechanical spreaders calibrated to fractions of a millimeter. The thickness of this layer directly determines the final texture of the snack. Too thick and the sheet will be chewy and uneven. Too thin and it will crack during drying, creating fragments instead of whole sheets. In a modern facility, automated sensors scan each sheet as it exits the forming frame, measuring thickness at multiple points simultaneously. Any sheet outside a tolerance of plus or minus 0.3 millimeters is rejected before it ever reaches the dryer. Drying happens in two stages. The first is a room temperature air drying phase, where the sheets are laid across mesh drying racks and held for several hours to allow free water to evaporate without applying heat. This slow initial drying preserves the seaweed's natural amino acid structure, the compounds responsible for its characteristic umami flavor. The second stage moves the sheets through heated drying tunnels at controlled temperatures, reducing final moisture content to below 10% and giving the sheets the semi-rigid structure they need to survive the roasting process. At this point, dried but not yet seasoned or roasted, a nori sheet is almost translucent. It is dark, greenish-black, paper-thin, and completely unseasoned. It snaps cleanly when you bend it. It has almost no flavor. What happens next is what turns it into a snack. Here is something that almost nobody knows. The difference between a premium roasted seaweed snack and an average one comes down almost entirely to a 12-second window. 12 seconds during which temperature, airflow, and oil contact either create something extraordinary or ruin an entire batch. We will show you exactly what happens in those 12 seconds. The seasoning process begins before the roasting, and the formulation used here is where competing brands most aggressively differentiate themselves. The standard base for most commercial Korean-style roasted seaweed is a blend of sesame oil and sea salt, applied in a thin, controlled film across both surfaces of each dried sheet. The sesame oil serves two purposes. It carries flavor, and it acts as a thermal conductor during roasting, ensuring even heat distribution across the surface. The application is done by precision oil rollers, calibrated to deposit between 0.8 and 1.2 grams of oil per sheet, just enough to season without making the product greasy. Premium products introduce additional complexity at this stage. Some facilities apply a secondary layer of oyster extract or anchovy powder in a water-based spray before the oil coat, a technique designed to deepen the umami profile of the finished snack. Others use blended oils, combinations of sesame and perilla oil, to create flavor profiles that taste noticeably rounder and more complex than the standard versions. Then comes the roasting. The sheets travel through a continuous roasting oven on a mesh conveyor belt. Inside the oven, radiant heat elements above and below the belt bring the sheet surface temperature to between 180 and 200 degrees Celsius within the first few seconds of entry. The entire transit time through the roasting chamber is between 10 and 14 seconds. This is the 12-second window. In those 10 to 14 seconds, several things happen simultaneously. The residual moisture left in the sheet vaporizes, creating internal steam pressure that causes the seaweed's cell structure to expand and set, producing that characteristic light, crispy texture. The sesame oil undergoes partial pyrolysis, developing the toasted, nutty aromatic compounds that give the snack its smell. And the chlorophyll in the seaweed shifts slightly in color from dark black-green to the bright emerald green associated with a well-roasted sheet. If the temperature is too low, the moisture doesn't fully vaporize and the sheet comes out limp. Too high, and the chlorophyll degrades past emerald into an olive brown. The amino acids begin to break down, and the sheet tastes bitter. The tolerance is narrow, approximately plus or minus 8 degrees Celsius across the entire oven surface. After roasting, the sheets move directly into a cooling tunnel where forced cold air drops the surface temperature below 30 degrees Celsius within 60 seconds. Allowing the sheets to cool slowly in open air risks moisture reabsorption, which softens the texture irreversibly. Quality control at this stage is both automated and manual. Vision systems using cameras mounted above the conveyor belt scan each roasted sheet for color uniformity, surface defects, and dimensional accuracy, rejecting any sheet that falls outside specification. Alongside the automated systems, trained sensory evaluators test roasted sheets from each production batch by hand, checking for crispness, checking the sound of the snap, and tasting for flavor balance. In facilities supplying export markets, this human evaluation step happens every 30 minutes throughout the production shift. A full-size nori sheet, at this point, measures roughly 21 by 19 centimeters. For snack packaging, it is cut into the small, rectangular portions familiar to consumers, typically around 10 by 8 centimeters, using high-speed rotary cutters that process several hundred sheets per minute. The cutting geometry matters more than it appears. Seaweed snack sheets are extremely fragile after roasting, and a dull or misaligned blade creates microfractures along the cut edges that cause the product to crumble inside its packaging during shipping. Cutter blades in high-volume facilities are inspected and replaced on a fixed schedule, often every 4 to 6 hours of continuous operation, regardless of whether visible wear is detectable. Immediately after cutting, the portions are fed into a modified atmosphere packaging line. Each individual packet is filled with nitrogen gas before sealing, displacing the oxygen that would otherwise degrade the oil coating and accelerate the loss of crispness. This is why a sealed seaweed snack packet, when you squeeze it, feels slightly pressurized. The nitrogen is doing the preservation work that a preservative would do in a different category of food product. A finished packed sheet has a shelf life of 6 to 12 months from production date, a remarkable figure for a product that, in its raw form, began degrading within hours of leaving the ocean, from the farms of Wando to a shelf in London, New York, or Sydney. The journey typically spans 4 to 6 weeks, the majority of it in refrigerated container shipping to protect the product's quality during the ocean transit. What makes roasted seaweed interesting is not just the process, a crop that requires no land, no fresh water, and no chemical inputs, harvested by families who have been reading the same tides for generations. Transformed by a manufacturing process that is not fundamentally changed in structure since a Japanese papermaker first spread seaweed across a drying frame over 1,000 years ago, just made faster, more precise, and more consistent. The next time you open one of those small green packets, you are holding 45 days of ocean growth, 2 hours of post-harvest urgency, and 12 seconds in a roasting oven that everything else was building toward. That is not a snack. That is a supply chain built around a window of time, shorter than it takes to read this sentence aloud. If you want to keep following the engineering and production stories hidden inside everyday products, you know where to find us.